All right, this is the ugly truth about funeral costs. All right, let's talk about something today that nobody seems to ever want to talk about. Like, not even a little bit. And it's the moment when a family is grieving. They're grieving, and the last thing they should really be thinking about is what? Money. But the truth is, it's often the first thing they have to face. Today, we're going to talk about the ugly truth about funeral costs and how you can make sure that your family never has to deal with the financial burden. Now, I'll be honest with you, this isn't going to be a fun conversation, but it's one of the most important you'll ever have. So just bear with me, stick with me, because I have a little bit of discomfort. It's a little bit of discomfort now, but it could save you and your loved ones a lifetime of financial pain. All right, so first let's talk about the pass in the hat scenario. All right, take all right. Let me see. Take the pass in the hat scenario. All right. Now listen. You've heard the phrase "pass the hat." Passing the hat around. It's a phrase for a reason, and it's been around for a long time. Now here's what it actually looks in real time. A family is in mourning, right? Somebody, a loved one, just died. Patriarch, matriarch, grandfather, grandmother, somebody dies. Bring, bring, bring. The phone rings. It's the funeral home, right? And now they give the list. They give the family a list of expenses. The professional service fee, the casket, the embalming, all the things we talk about on this channel. And that number, it's not a number they prepare for. So what happens next? The phone calls start to a sibling, to a cousin, to a friend, to an auntie, to the dogs. We're trying to figure out how to pay for this. Family members have to pull money from their savings account, put costs on credit cards, even set up GoFundMe's just to cover the cost of a funeral, take out loans, mortgages on their homes. It's grief compounded by humiliation, stress, and a financial crisis. And it's really the kind of financial legacy that no one wants to leave behind. And it happens to a lot more people than you could imagine. Let's try not to let this happen to you. All right. Now, let's take the time to break down the bill and let's see what we're really paying for. So, why is this happening? Why is this happening? The reason why is because death is expensive. Like, did I just buy, a Lamborghini, or did I buy a coffin? That type of expensive. The national average, again, for the traditional funeral with a viewing and a burial is somewhere between $8,000 to $12,000. And that's really just a start. Now let's break down to where all the money goes. Okay? Now it's the funeral home services. This isn't just a fee, it's a list. You got the basic service fee, which can be around $2,500. Then you have embalming at around $800. Then you have the use of their facilities, transportation. If you add all these things up, it really starts to add up fast, as you can see. And now the casket. This is often the single biggest expense. A basic casket can start around $2,500, but they can go into the tens and $20,000s easily, right? Now, let's talk about the cemetery costs. This is a whole other bill. You got the burial plot, which can be $1,000 to $5,000 or more. Then you got the grave marker or the headstone. Now that's another $2,000 to $3,000. And wait, there's more. Don't forget the fee just to open and close the grave. Now let's talk about the hidden costs. Now this is stuff that actually sneaks up on you: the flowers, the obituary notices, the clergy fees, and even the cost of a death certificate. Yeah, the certificate. Each copy is $20, and you need several. And it's a death by 1,000 cuts, pretty much, right? But all these things, they all hit at once. And once again, I must tackle the cremation myth. Now, again, a lot of people I come across, they still think that, I'll just get cremated. I'll avoid all the costs of all that stuff. I don't need all that. I'll do the bare basic minimum, just cremate me. And that's cheaper. And yes, while cremation is generally more affordable, I don't want you to fall for the myth that it's free. Nothing's free. Even death is not free, right? Birth or death, nothing's free. The average cremation with the memorial service is still around $6,000, 6K. And if you want a burial, if you want to bury the ashes or urn or something like that, those are actual more additional costs. I'll be honest, it's a great option, but it's not a magical fix. Without a plan, it can still leave a significant financial burden to your loved ones. Now, this is what I call the simple solution, a shield of protection. All right. Now, don't get me wrong. It might sound like it, but it's not. This is not a scare tactic. It's not a scare tactic. This is a reality check. But the good news here is there's a simple, elegant solution that doesn't require a six-figure income or some type of medical exam. It's called final expense life insurance. Now, look, this isn't about, so you got to change your whole perspective, right? So, final expense life insurance, this isn't about building $1 million inheritance. It's really about, it's a small, focused policy designed for one purpose, and that's to cover those exact costs that we just talked about, the final expenses. You know, Basically, it's a shield of protection. It's a plan that tells your family, I didn't just leave you hanging. And it's also a way to ensure that when the worst happens, your family doesn't have to face a financial crisis on top of their grief. You know, Pretty much we take care of everything. They get the money directly, quickly, and they can use it to pay for everything from the funeral to the leftover credit card bills. Pretty much we in that legacy of passing the hat. There's no more passing the hat. There's no more desperate phone calls. Just family that can focus on remembering you. Remember the good times, remember the fun times, and not stressing over the bills. We don't want that. Who wants that? Now, listen, here at Golden Wings, we're not like the rest. All right, we understand that this isn't an easy topic. We're not here to hard sell you on something you don't need. We're here to be more of a guide through this difficult conversation. Our job is to help you find the perfect final expense policy that fits your budget, and it gives you and your family total peace of mind. We try to make the process overly simple instead of overly complicated. Straightforward instead of up in the air. You know, and make it a human conversation, a human connection. We'll handle all the paperwork and all the details, so you don't have to worry about a thing. So one question for you now: Are you ready to face the ugly truth that death does cost and it is coming soon? It's within near you, and we can create a beautiful solution. If so, give me a call. All right, at our toll free number, 888-886-7860. I promise that. I always tell people it'd be much easier than a root canal. All right, and a lot less painful. So, thanks for hanging out with me today. As always, you guys go be great. I'm out.